Hello everyone, my name is Dementia Master Studios, and welcome back to another episode of How Long Would Blank Go to Jail, the series where I take a look at different Ninjago villains and I determine their sentencing. And on today's video, I am covering the final member of the Council of the Crystal King, with that being the Mechanic. So let's get into this whole situation. And just like I said in my previous videos, this is going to be less of an exact amount as to how long the Mechanic would go to jail and more of a general idea. And let's get into this whole thing. Now, for starters, when it comes to the Mechanic, we run into a very interesting situation, because during the premiere of Prime Empire, Zane says that the Mechanic is wanted in 36 unsolved cases, yet the thing is, we don't actually know what any of those crimes are. Some of the crimes that he does commit during the show do take place before Season 12 does start, but even then, it's not enough in order to cover this entire thing, so we can just mark the Mechanic down for committing 36 crimes, but we don't actually know what the crimes are. Also, another thing, I'm not going to be counting any crimes that the Mechanic committed during the events of Skybound, because as we know, the events of Skybound basically got erased from the timeline as a result of Jay's wish, so anything the Mechanic did in that season, I'm not counting. Anything from Season 8 onward, that is all completely fair game. Before Crystallized, because I'm not covering any of the crimes that he committed in that season yet. And so, yeah, let's begin this whole thing. So, for starters, we have assault and battery, given him fighting against the ninja multiple times. Once during Season 8 and 4 times during Season 12, so this would end up giving him 5 years for both of those. However, when it comes to the Mechanic, he obviously used his cybernetic arm when he was actually fighting against the ninja, and this would end up counting as assault with a deadly weapon, which would give him a 33-year sentence per assault charge, giving him a 165-year sentence actually. After this, we can then mark the Mechanic down on arson for his flamethrower arm, which he uses twice during the show, so that would end up giving him a 40-year sentence because arson can give you 20 years. After this, we then have Prison Break, consider him breaking out of Kryptarian Prison, once during Season 11 and once during Season 12, and this would end up giving him a 30-year sentence because it's 15 years for breaking out of prison. After this, we then have Kidnapping, once with Zane during Prime Empire, and the other time with Sensei Wu, also during Prime Empire. And yes, the Mechanic wasn't there when Sensei Wu was kidnapped, but they were his goons who were taking Sensei Wu, so I'm going to count this as a charge to the Mechanic. And when it comes to the Mechanic, he would end up getting a 40-year sentence because it's a 20-year sentence for kidnapping, and he obviously did it twice. After this, we then have false imprisonment for him locking up Zane and Sensei Wu, and this would end up giving him a 2-year sentence in total. I'm also going to mark the Mechanic down on reckless driving, considering what we saw during the premiere of Prime Empire, and this would end up giving him a 1-year sentence. Finally, we have one really interesting situation, with it being stuff that the Mechanic is charged for during the episode The Absolute Worst. If we do take the Mechanic's anime short into consideration, and I do, considering his definitely seems the most realistic and believable out of the 3 shorts that we saw during that episode, then we can actually mark the Mechanic down on theft and false advertising, because this is directly what Nia says during the episode actually. And when it comes to the theft charge, he would end up going to jail for 15 years, and when it comes to false advertising, yeah, that can actually be considered a crime, and he would end up going to jail for 6 months. And so that's all the crimes and sentencings, so let's tally up the results. So when it comes to the Mechanic and the crimes that he ended up committing, we can mark him down on the following. 36 unsolved cases, assault and battery, assault with a deadly weapon, 5 times for both, 2 cases of arson, 2 cases of prison break, 2 cases of kidnapping, 2 cases of false imprisonment, theft, false advertising, and reckless driving. That is a grand total of 62 crimes. And when it comes to the overall jail sentencing, the Mechanic would go to jail for 303 years and 6 months, giving him actually the largest amount of crimes committed by any villain who I've covered so far when it comes to the show, with again 62 crimes in total, and the 3rd highest sentence out of all the members of the Council of Crystal King, only being beaten out by Harumi and Pythor, and being the only member of the Council of the Crystal King who has not committed a crime that would give him either a life sentence or a death penalty. So hey, nice job for the Mechanic in those regards. And so that's it. That is every single member of the Council of the Crystal King. Sort of. Because next week, I'm not actually going to be releasing a video covering another villain. Rather, instead, I'm going to be making a video where I'm actually going to be covering the mistakes that I made while I was making these videos and doing some corrections when it comes to some of the sentencings, mainly by adding on crimes that I forgot about. And so, yeah, I hope you guys are looking forward to that. And then once I finish up with that video, then I'm going to cover a different villain altogether and take a break from the Council of the Crystal King, because yes, there is also the crimes that they committed during the events of Crystallize, but again, I want to take a little break from the Council and cover some other villains. So yeah, and that's all I got for you guys. So tell me down below, what do you guys think? And so yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you guys. Later guys, this is Dimension Master Studios, signing off.